Hi, welcome back to the recap of this show, Reacher Episode 2. If you would like to see the recap of Episode 1, click on the link below. So here is a recap of Reacher Season 1, Episode 2. After returning to the police station, Reacher becomes upset and leaves in a hurry. Finlay asks Roscoe to ensure Reacher doesn't harm anyone since he listens to her. Roscoe follows Reacher in a police car and finds him, but he doesn't want her to interfere with his investigation. Roscoe offers him to work together, and they both proceed to Hubbell's place for investigation. Charlie greets the two at the Hubbell's house and thanks Reacher for protecting her husband in prison. Charlie doesn't know where Paul is. Reacher tells her that they found Joe's body by the highway, and Joe had Paul's number. Charlie is puzzled by this until Tally and Lucy, her daughters, enter the room. Charlie describes Tally as the one with glasses, but younger than Lucy. Reacher asks for the bathroom, but snoops around and finds Paul's shoes with a familiar seed. He returns and tells Roscoe that he's leaving. Outside, Reacher figures out that Charlie introduces her girls, with the key difference between them being glasses. He remembers that in the cell, the attackers targeted him because he was wearing the glasses of an inmate, so they were aiming at someone with glasses. This leads him to believe that Hubbell is either on the run or in trouble. Reacher shows Roscoe the seed he found on Hubbell's shoe, and she identifies it as a hitchhiker seed that might grow where Joe's body was found. They examine the location, but unfortunately find no traces of trouble. Despite this, Reacher carefully analyzes the details of the killing and the crime scene, sensing that Joe's shooter was a highly skilled marksman. Roscoe inquires about Reacher's relationship with Joe, their family status, and Joe's occupation. Reacher reveals that in their youth, they were close friends, had no family, and both worked for Homeland Security during their last contact. However, Reacher is unsure about his last departmental status, as they hadn't spoken in a while. He then decides to find a motel and declines Roscoe's offer for a ride. Nevertheless, Roscoe secretly follows him to the motel. Unexpectedly, at the motel's parking lot, a group of young men starts harassing Reacher. He realizes they were waiting for him, and someone had paid them to harm him. Reacher tries to avoid the fight but ends up beating them, warning them to stay away. Later, an unmarked van arrives at a large house, and 4 individuals in white latex bodysuits come out. The next morning, Reacher heads to the police station to check in and learn about a new murder, Chief Morrison's. Reacher proclaims his innocence, and Roscoe believes he's not the culprit since he was in the motel the whole night. They leave for Morrison's place. When Roscoe and Reacher arrive at the crime scene, Finlay is already present there. Inside the house, they find Morrison's naked body pinned to the wall. Finlay pulls Reacher aside to talk about the murder, and they discuss the possibility of Joe being involved, but Reacher dismisses it. However, he suspects the Margrave PD might be corrupt. Finlay reminds him that he is acting chief and that they must work together to solve Morrison's murder, as it's a warning message. Reacher and Roscoe go to Hubbell's house, where they learn that Paul never returned home. Roscoe stays armed while Reacher takes a knife for protection and heads to Finlay to ask for Hubbell's car. At a town meeting, Teal announces himself as the chief police, but the town shows distrust. Mr. Kleiner interrupts his speech and assures everyone that he will investigate and fix all the problems. Later, Finlay talks to Teal about finding a pattern in the killings, but Teal dismisses it. He assigns Finlay to search Morrison's recent convictions, believing the killer is connected to them, and this was a revenge killing. He refuses to prioritize the highway killings and connect all the murders. Finlay shares Teal's uncooperative attitude with Reacher, who suspects Kleiner might be involved. They plan to pretend to investigate old cases while looking into Joe's rental car. Hubbell's family needs protection, so Finlay calls his trusted FBI friend Picard to watch over them. Teal apologizes to Reacher for Joe's death and promises justice. He expects him to leave town, but Reacher makes it clear he will be staying, which Teal doesn't like. Reacher buys a phone near Mosley's barbershop. Mosley mourns Joe's death and warns Reacher that some unfriendly Spanish-speaking people inquired about him at his shop. Back at Hubbell's house, Reacher returns and asks Charlie to prepare for FBI custody with Agent Picard. Charlie hesitates, but Reacher believes it's what Hubbell would have wanted. He reluctantly accepts that Paul is likely dead, urging Charlie to focus on her kids. Reacher gets a flashback of his childhood in Okinawa, where older boys harass a special need kid named Billy. Reacher steps in to confront them, but then Billy's dad arrives, and the bullies flee. Back in the present, Reacher notices a black car monitoring him outside the house before leaving. He rushes in, commands everyone to evacuate abruptly, and seizes Roscoe's gun. Picard arrives, and Reacher confirms his identity on his card. Picard reveals that he is overseeing the family off the books for secrecy. Reacher instructs Roscoe to return to Finlay, while he heads to find Spivey at Warburton to uncover who's behind everything. Reacher calls Spivey, pretending to be Finlay, and arranges a late-night meeting in a bar parking lot to align their stories about the prison incident. Spivey expected Reacher's setup and had planned one himself. A car arrives with a man holding a gun, instructing Reacher to get in the small trunk, but he refuses. Reacher cleverly disarms him, and a knife fight ensues, with Reacher getting cut in the back. The police show up, and Reacher escapes. Meanwhile, Roscoe searches for rental cars at Margrave PD but comes up empty. Reacher, covered in blood from the fight, arrives. Finlay is frustrated that Spivey and the other men weren't caught. Reacher claims the men were South American military personnel since they had a special fighting technique. Roscoe awaits a call from the Office of Investigations. Reacher's plan to search Spivey's house is hindered by the lack of public information on the guard's address, and Finlay sends him home. Reacher suggests going to a bar, but Finlay rejects the idea. So Reacher leaves, and Roscoe is assigned to watch him again. In the parking lot, Roscoe stops Reacher and offers to take him to a roadhouse out of town for a drink. They change into casual clothes and drive to the roadhouse while listening to the radio. They arrive, have a beer, and slow dance to a Patsy Cline song. As they leave, it starts pouring heavily. On the way, they come across police cars and suspect danger. The police inform them that the bridge is flooded and the route is inaccessible. Roscoe asks about a nearby motel to stay the night. At the motel, Roscoe and Reacher share a fun banter about their favorite snacks. That night, he sleeps on the floor while she takes the bed. The two talk and have a deep conversation about their pasts, and Roscoe reveals that her parents died when she was young. She had a close friend, Gray, who taught her to be a cop. But sadly, he took his own life a year ago. He always gave her daisies on her birthday, and then she asks Reacher about his family, but he answers that he only had Joe left. In the morning, the two return to Margrave and find Roscoe's front door slightly open. They investigate with weapons drawn, finding muddy footprints but nothing missing. There's a message carved into the wood. See you soon. Reacher decides he needs a gun. If you want a new one, let me know what movies do you want me to recap. The links to the show are down below. Make sure that you are subscribed and have a great day. Thanks for watching.